Welcome to More Than Renovating, a renovate and real estate podcast. Our founder, Belinda Smith, talks to industry experts to provide you with the knowledge and information you need to make renovating for love and profit your reality. Belinda will also chat to some of her Renovation Mastery members who are just everyday people doing extraordinary things, following their passions in the renovation and property space. So, let's jump straight into the episode. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, welcome to Renovate and Real Estate's podcast, More Than Renovating. There's so much more to renovating than just renovating. And I'm Belinda Smith, and with me today, I'm really pleased to introduce Phoebe Shorter. And Phoebe is from Foxy Home Staging, foxyhomestaging.com.au if you're trying to look her up. Welcome, Phoebe.
Hi.
Hey. Really nice to have you. Phoebe came to one of our boot camps and did a live demonstration on all things home staging and was fabulous and dynamic and so learned. And I know that a lot of people, well, I actually speak to a lot of people even in the renovation space that have done home staging courses and home styling courses and can never really get a business off the ground. So we're going to talk a little bit today, but let's start with, how did you start it all, and tell us about your business?
So my background's actually not even in design. My background's actually in radiation therapy and cancer care. So complete 180.
Yeah.
Basically what happened is I fell pregnant, and at the time where I was on maternity leave, we were doing some developments. So buying some blocks, renovating the front property, designing a smaller home on the back, and selling them, and engaging property stylists to style those properties. So I was like, why am I doing this? This is something that I would love to do.
Yeah.
Addressed everything about the experience of engaging those stylists that we didn't enjoy. And that's how our business is growing.
Okay, so you tackled the things that weren't fun for you, and you thought, okay, I'm going to set up a business and make sure that whatever I deliver to my clients is going to cover those, well, I'll call them objections, or cover those problems.
Yep. So for us, that was taking it from, so basically when I was engaging another stylist, it was always on their terms. It was their payment terms, it was their time frames, it was their extension terms. Everything was done to the way that their business needed to do. And as a service-based business, I think that's the way that we all start. But we flipped it and we made it all, everything was flexible in our clients' terms. And that's honestly, it's had the biggest impact on our growth. And
what I love about your particular style of staging is that you do, you do that to your clients' terms as well, to your client's particular property. It's not all same. I know that there's a stylist around here. I can walk through the homes and I can pick in 2 seconds who's done it, because every property looks the same. Now, every house is different, but the styling's done the same. And I know that you pay a lot of attention to detail when it comes to getting the right style to fit the right home.
Yeah, absolutely. So something I do talk about a lot, something I'm really passionate about. We will go into a consult and we'll have an agent or a client, a homeowner, say to us, we want to see our home presented as a beautiful Hamptons home. And they've got a 90s brick home. It's yellow and blue. We can't do that. Yeah. Your home needs to be presented in the best way for itself. Otherwise, it has the adverse effect. It actually detracts it. It actually makes your home. So if we went in and put the Hamptons and go all the luxy whites and blues into that home, it's going to make the house feel dated. So it's about being able to have those conversations, but doing the right thing by the house.
And careful conversations with people who are emotionally attached to their homes.
Yes, treading very, very lightly. But as styling becomes more and more accepted, those conversations are becoming few and far between.
Yeah.
So they're already there by the time we're getting there for most of our vendors now.
So do you think most people already have a trust in your ability by the time you hit their property? So they're like, okay, Phoebe suggests this, so I'm just going to let her at it.
Yeah, we're really lucky. Over the last 5 years, I've built relationships with other real estate agents, which is one channel of how we're recommended, or they've approached us and found us via social media, and we've worked on those relationships that we've gotten through the screen. So by the time I get there, they know who I am, they know who our team is, and there's already that trust there. So they generally know what I'm going to recommend. They know that I'm not going to use the dark furniture or the big recliner. They're already aware of things that we're going to do.
So your business has grown a lot from those days where you said, okay, I'm not going to be a radiologist anymore or work in the hospital system or any of those things, to really cracking off. So it's gone in leaps and bounds. Set out a time frame for me from when you started to now, and what does your team look like now?
So when we started out, it was just me.
Yeah.
Just like, honestly, my very first meeting I ever had with a real estate agent, I took my 3-month-old son with me, and she had her 3-month-old, and we had a play date. Like, it was great. So we then engaged a stylist very quickly at that point. Within 3 months, I had a stylist, because obviously there was only so much I could do. So we're 5 years in now. My husband joined me in the business full time at about year 3.5, I would say. He's jumped in. He's very much the numbers and the all that analyst side of the business. That's him. And then now at 5 years, we've got 23 staff that work for us. We own 3 trucks. This month just gone, we started 105 properties.
Wow, that is a lot of properties to cover. And what area do you specialize in? How far will you roam?
So we are predominantly based in Brisbane, do service the Gold Coast because it's only 45 minutes down the coast. Honestly, I've gone up to Toowoomba for clients who are repeat clients, but we'll go up to Sunshine Coast depending on how busy we are. Only the Southeast Queensland, basically, predominantly Brisbane and Gold Coast.
And so what kind of storage facilities do you have to stock enough product to do multiple homes in a month like you've just done?
Yeah, so we've got we've got 2 warehouses. They are internally joint. Here, basically on the south side of Brisbane, fantastic access to all the motorways, that sort of thing, where it does not flood. Also very important. So huge big warehouse. We have probably around $2.5 million, just depending on where it's sitting now for this financial year, $2.5 million worth of stock. So we do have a lot. However, there's not as much in the warehouse at any one time when we have 105 properties styled. That's obviously all out in houses. So that's actually our storage.
Yeah. Okay. So free storage, other people's homes.
Convenient.
Actually, you're getting paid to store other people's homes if you look at it that way. All right. So did you expect this kind of business growth? Is this what you set out to do?
Oh, goodness, no. So honestly, if you had have asked me where I think we were, if this was a 15-year plan where we're at now, we were really fortunate when we started the business. Obviously, it's also down to the philosophies, everything, the way we built the business as well. But we launched our business right as the wave of property styling started in Brisbane. So we've rode on that wave as it's become more and more accepted. In Brisbane, we were really fortunate through COVID. Brisbane market didn't stop. Brisbane market got stronger. We weren't at any point shut down our business. Our business was allowed to operate the entire time. So we, during the period of COVID, we're one of those very fortunate businesses that went from strength to strength.
Same with
and I felt guilty for saying that to start with, but we worked really, really hard and really looked after the staff during that period of time as well. But so I honestly, you had to ask me at the start, we're at 15 years. So and every year we set our targets. So from last year, we have doubled in every respect. We've doubled our staff. We had 10 staff at this period last year. We've doubled our revenue. We've doubled the houses out. So everything has doubled within 1 year.
So what's your key to doing that, do you think?
So I get asked this often. Are we riding the Brisbane market, or are we actually getting tangible repeat work? So is the market going to quieten down and I'm going to be left with all this stock behind? So where's our work coming from? So I've worked really, really hard on relationships and building with agents, everything with that. So those relationships for me are key to getting repeat work. However, our media team have worked extremely hard. So our second ever full-time employee was a media team. It was in the media team. So it was Cody. He came on board, started doing all of our vlog style media. And that is a long-term gain, which I honestly believe is what we're seeing the fruits of now.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Social media and just being consistent and getting out there, even if we don't feel like we should.
Yes. Yeah, if you want
to, or in a mood or a bit tired.
Making those hard phone calls. Those hard phone calls, they've got to be done, and they have the biggest impact. If someone's unhappy with a job that you've done, having those phone calls, making those corrections, they have the biggest impact. Okay. So they're the ones, I put them off, but they have the biggest impact.
And hiring for culture. Tell me about and what you look for in your team as you're building your team.
So my interviews, so basically I'll get somebody who'll send through a resume. I'm not interested in a resume. I'm not really interested in somebody's design background. So I every day of the week we'll hire somebody who is a better fit for our team and has the passion and the motivation to learn what we do. So my conversations during an interview, I ask 3 questions. I would love to know something about them that their resume doesn't tell me. And so I, in another lifetime, would be a storm chaser. I want random information. I want random facts. So those sorts of things about somebody. I want to know how their best friend would describe them.
Yeah, great question.
And then I ask them a completely wayward question because I want to see how they will cope with, we get put on spot all the time out on site. So I ask them, how many sofas do they feel that there are in Australia?
How many what?
How many sofas
are
there in Australia? They're the 3. Yeah. And that reaction.
And your reaction is what my reaction? What?
Yeah, definitely. And then I start seeing the cogs turn. I can see how they start processing questions. I can see the sort of person they are in the way that they respond and how they're put on the spot. Yeah. It's the best question.
I might ask that question myself, even though it's no relevance.
It's fantastic. And I don't even know the answer. I've got no idea what the answer is. But
honestly, that is a great question because it is people's ability to solve problems on the spot, and it is to watch their facial expressions when they're feeling uncomfortable.
Yep.
And how they react. Yeah, it's
a bit of an icebreaker too. It makes them feel comfortable because I'm being silly, but it works a treat.
Yeah. If somebody was starting out trying to do what you do, what would the one piece of advice you gave them? What would that be?
Just do it. So many times
me too.
We've had we get approached. I get people call all the time and wanting advice on their business name or their business model or their motto, or we just want to do some more research before we start. Honestly, just start, tweak it as you go. I went to a coaching session with Lorna Jane and she said, build the plane while it's flying. And I think that was the best way to describe it. Like, it was fantastic because that it's not, you get a bit of imposter syndrome and it's not easy, but it's the best way to do it because there's no turning back.
So it's a really competitive industry. What sets you apart? What sets Foxy apart?
Our communication and our service.
Yeah.
That's our biggest key point. So it's business 101 at the end of the day, but it's those things that, because we have a business model and we are set as a bigger business, I've got people in those places to make sure the communication happens. Yeah. When you're a smaller business, you just can't do that. If it's just you can't do that. You can't answer every phone call. So I think that's the biggest difference that we have.
Yeah. And I'll add another one, your willingness.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, to participate, to have a go, to say yes, to be all in. It's really what's your favorite? I'm going to ask you one. What's your favorite productivity hack? Do you have one?
I don't have one. Mine's just get in and get done.
Yeah.
So if I know it's got to get done, I just get in and I might leave it to the last minute, but I still get it done. Like, get it done.
I'm a bit of both. I'll leave things to the last minute sometimes and I get cranky at myself for doing it. And other things, as soon as they come in, I think I'm going to knock this off right now. So I do try and do that so that there's just not, the mountain just doesn't pile up with things. Yeah. So what's the secret to good styling, do you think? The absolute secret?
So as intent, like when you walk in and you go, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's styling for the property as the property needs it, as the house itself, not trying to make our stock fit that house, not trying to make a certain style fit the house, presenting it as it needs to be presented. Something is really important to us. If we do multiple listings for the same real estate agent, they have to be different because it needs to be different to everything else that's in that neighborhood, because what else is memorable when the same buyer's looking at all of them?
That's what I notice. And if I'm looking like everybody else is noticing too. So great point. And
I think probably elevating the level of your stock so that it's not necessarily like, you can 100% use pieces that are from more of our retail chains, but you need to dress them up with some things that are a little bit more expensive. So you do a combination of styling for it to present wonderfully. And then that way it's really going to elevate the listing.
Is there any real secret to placing things like vignettes? And do you have any tips on, like, do you like every bench covered or do you like empty spaces?
So that's actually a conversation we have with a lot of homeowners, that empty space is just as important as space that we have styled. So for example, artwork on a wall, we will often have a conversation with clients about why we have empty walls. So they're used to seeing family photos, all the walls filled, or photos above the TV, all those sorts of things. So empty real estate is just as important to allow your eye to settle and to allow you to take everything in that's in that room. But what we also do by not overfilling the walls is we can help guide the eye to the areas that are important. We can definitely help highlight a feature of a space. And that's done with positioning of furniture. So we will never ever have the back of a sofa visible from the front door. When you walk in the front door, that is never ever what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's because instantly you've got a block, you've created a hallway, you've also made a room a whole lot smaller.
Well, with it cutting off from your eye view.
Yeah. And we're all about open plan living now. We're all about having this spacious open plan living, not about these cozy little spaces. Yeah. So we don't want to do the opposite with the style, and we need to make sure things are open. But by doing that, we allow the eye to look at the greenery that we've got on the coffee table, and then we look over to the dining table to look outside to the amazing pool. Whereas before we might have got distracted by that scratch on the wall.
I agree.
Yeah.
Play up the wow and take your eye off stuff that's not so perfect. Make small spaces appear larger.
Yep.
What about if you've got a great big empty large home?
Yeah, making sense of those not huge spaces. Rabbit warren space in Queensland, we've got all these Queenslanders that are built like rabbit warrens, and you honestly have got no idea for functions of all those spaces. So it's giving functions to those, making the floor plan make sense, so that it's memorable when you can get back to your car and go, okay, that actually had 4 bedrooms.
So the whole aim of staging is what, to create an emotional connection, or is it for people to fall in love and pay more? Like, what do you think in your mind when you're staging?
I want them to remember that home when they get home on a Saturday after 10 opens.
Right, good point.
So there's a combo of factors to that. It needs to be unique and stand out to anything else that is on the market at that point in time that they might be seeing. It needs to create that emotional connection, and it needs to be able to create that emotional connection really quite quickly. So that very first room we walk into, it needs to be, yes, this is me. Also, that very end room where you walk the furthest point away from the real estate agent, so you can have that important conversation with your husband and say, look, I like this, without those ears. That room also needs to be great. So
that's a great point. That's a great point when people think, okay, I'm just going to style up one room and I'm just going to neglect like all of the bedrooms or whatever.
Yeah. So often it's outside or downstairs.
Yeah, good.
Because that's as far away from the real estate agent as you can get. So they're the spaces that we would focus on, as well as that very first room, hallway, whatever that first space you're walking from the front door.
So what do you do when you get to someone's house and it's full of stuff?
So we call that integrated styling. So
I call it full of stuff, clutter.
Yeah, sometimes it's good, integrated, and sometimes you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
So basically our consultation at that point, we run through everything with them. We will do styling for somebody who is living in their home. And that's because not everybody can afford to move out, and everybody should have the ability to style their home and get more for it. So the way that we operate, we give them a quote, and that quote is actually in the form of a checklist. So they've got a list of things they should hire, a list of things they should store, a list of the things that we're going to use in that room, and then a list of things that we're going to use from that room in a different room. So it gives them a plan. They know what they need to get rid of. They know what they need to pack up, so that when we come, our removalists, who are full-time employees who are here, they can help reposition everything in that house so that it's perfect for us. Now, with our inventory, we've got enough pieces to be able to then bring our styling in that will work cohesively with what they've got, to elevate it and make it all make sense, blend it perfectly, so that it's something that at a level buyers resonate with. Yeah,
your buyers resonate, but also those vendors, those people about to sell, it must be exciting for them to see some of their favorite pieces integrated in that styling. So it's not too far removed from the way that they were living in that house. Or maybe it is.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Maybe
it is a bit removed, but yeah.
But that's my favorite part about integrated styling, is them coming home and seeing the end result. So we say to them, go out and have a coffee. You've done the hard part. You deserve a break. Go have breakfast. Come back and see it how you buy as well. And that reaction when they come home and see it, it's worth all the time that we put into it for them to see the home like that. We've had people take it off the market, which is the worst thing that can possibly happen.
God. Yeah, they reconnect with their home and say, this is so beautiful, we're not going to leave anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Yeah. 3 times that's happened in 5 years. Not the best outcome for the real estate agent. However, they do have a very, very happy client who then tells everybody about them.
Yeah,
So
that is true. That is true. Okay, so from start to finish, say if I was about to put my house on the market, when is the right time to contact Foxy Home Staging?
So I love to come in after you've had the conversation with your real estate agent, so you know who you're going to list with. You know, you have a time frame, so you know when you're going to have your photography and everything done. But you probably have about 4 weeks lead time before that photography date.
Yeah.
Anything less, it's we don't need the time. You need the time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Otherwise, honestly, it's just so much to get done, and I just see that too much stress for those vendors who are just put under that time frame.
We've actually got a checklist of doing things in relation to all of the odd jobs and the maintenance things that starts 10 weeks out.
Yeah, and
you can't
rely on trades.
Yeah.
And rain and weather, like there's too many impacts, and it just pushes you right out. So ideally, you get us in 4-ish weeks before your photos, but after you've got a bit of a time frame. We can come in and give you any guidance on anything you might need. If you're needing removals, if the house is vacant, obviously it's going to need less time. Let you know, people ask us all the time about paint and carpet preferences. We are more than happy to give colors and every advice, because that's how we're going to style it. So ideally would love to see these colors. So generally it's always neutral bases anyway, so it's nothing too crazy, but that's the process.
So what would you say to somebody who has traditionally been completely against staging their property for sale? You know, the ones who say it's unnecessary.
Yep. So I would say go and visit the number of open homes around now that are actually being styled. And well, actually, even before you go and visit them, have a look online and see what you scroll past, because you're not going to click into those properties that don't catch your eye. And the ones that don't catch your eye are generally the unstyled properties, because they generally don't have a photo of the empty property. They've got a photo of maybe the backyard, something that doesn't catch your eye.
Agree. Yeah. And look, honestly, I think people just leave tens of thousands on the table by not doing it either properly.
Yeah, we have quite a few case studies, and honestly, we've had ones that have been up to $80,000 difference. Yeah. And obviously that's a big property. Yeah. So it's crazy.
It is crazy. You look at realestate.com and Domain, and you just see that the bar's been lifted, and you do not want to be that vendor putting your place on the market without it looking its best, because you do just get left behind. And when you get some excited buyers, if people really connect with that space that Phoebe's created, or someone like Phoebe, if you're in Perth or somewhere else, then man, it's game on when you've got a couple of very, very excited, emotionally attached buyers who just think this is the home for me. I don't want another one. That's when they'll just keep bidding and bidding. So it's been really fast-paced staging for you in the last few years, because homes have been clicking over very, very quickly.
We've got basically go in and then come out within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's our first weekend, and that's been like that for a couple of years now.
Yeah. Definitely. And in your patch of the woods, it's probably going to stay like that for a while, at least.
Yeah.
Things are still going pretty well. It's very exciting for time for property. And it's also exciting for anyone in any kind of property business. So Phoebe, where can people find, I've watched some of your videos on Instagram, etc. Where is the best place for people to see some of your work?
So I think that'd be any of the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. We now have a guy in, so Sean started with us doing TikTok. If that is the one, that's honestly, it's huge, and it's actually already starting to have an impact. YouTube, and probably now our website doesn't get updated as much as those platforms, so those ones would be the best. Yeah,
awesome. And I watch some great content. Phoebe gives lots and lots of tips out for free, doesn't hold back. So excellent.
Yeah, more than happy for anybody to DM if they've got a question. I'm always available to chat. I'd love to chat.
So do I. Okay, so what are your big plans moving forward, do you think?
Oh, well, this year I said consolidation, and then we doubled. So
back to the growth phase.
Yeah, that's right. I would like to, well, honestly, we don't have the space or the capacity right now to grow any further. So this year will be about really building on those relationships and getting those processes in place. Now that we're a bigger business, I need those processes and everything in place, and doubling down on our social media. It's not going anywhere.
Very, very exciting. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Phoebe. I really appreciate the talk we've just had. You know, I'm a massive fan of styling, staging, a property looking its best to put on the market for sale. That's where the money is, and the extra. I've seen it locally. A local person here, $300,000 more than myself and the real estate agent predicted, because their renovation was lovely and it was just beautifully presented for sale. So that's what we want to do. It's worth every cent, guys. Staging. So thank you, Phoebe, from Foxy Home Staging.com.au. You can reach out to Phoebe via the website.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Phoebe.